On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will turn their critical eyes to the maker himself, George Lucas, to discuss 15 mistakes that he made that give fans a bit of heartburn. Mistakes, you say? Stay tuned to find out. You'll also get Ask Them Anything responses and a review of Jurassic World Rebirth. Of course, they'll end the show with Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. It's good to see the live stream chat kicking, screaming, crying, laughing, hugging, sharing salutations. Welcome, my friends. It's good to see you. Kramer, we're going to start with you because, as always, you know, around here, we are the biggest shills on the internet. We get paid by Disney, and we get paid by our fans. And if our fans pay us, we will address them directly. So I'm going to go to Kramer. Had a question to kind of kick off the show, and he gets to go first again because he spent some cash. That's just how we are, right? It's just how we are, people. So get used to it. We are money hungry. We need it. We got to keep the bills paid and the lights on here at SWTS HQ. So if you ever want to join the live stream like Kramer and donate, 5:30 East on Wednesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. At least as close as we can get to 5:30 you know what I mean? All right, so Kramer kicking things off. Even before we get into Ask Us Anything, he's asking, do you think James Gunn, Superman, has expectations in order for the DCU to be successful? Yes, I would say there are massive expectations considering the DCU's been a disaster from the get-go. And James Gunn was solely hired to come in with his pal and reboot it all. And if you can't kind of kick things off on the right foot with a Superman film, then you might as well call it a failure from the get-go. I'm trying to avoid Superman reviews at this point in time because I'm going tomorrow night and kind of want to go in with a clean slate. But I have seen some people broke embargo, which means they're trying to get some clicks, which means they're trying to say something about the film that may or may not be overly exaggerated. So who knows? All I know is that it's upsetting a certain political side in this country because Superman was referred to as an immigrant, which last time I checked, he always has been. He comes from a fucking imaginary planet called Krypton. So that makes him an immigrant by definition. All right, thank you. Okay, so there you go, Kramer. Hey, look at that. B-Mad throwing around some cashola, too. What does he want us to do? See Disney? It's not hard. That's right. Well, B-Mad, we love you. Based and brazen. He's even showing up in IG now as like some, I think it's like Big Dick Nick or something. I forget what his handle in IG is, but here we go. I also want to give a shout out to League. League's one of our more active members in our Discord, which is open. We've got 70 members in there. Most are pretty quiet, like young Nick. But I get in there, I monitor the conversations. And League, may the force be with you and your partner. I see what's going on there. As someone that is approaching that age of, you know, potentially getting some bad news at a doctor visit, I speak your name, all right? And hopefully everything's going all right there with your partner. I'm actually kind of dreading similar news when I go get my first colonoscopy here in August. So let's all hope for the best and speak League's name in the force, if you will, my friends. All right. Hey there, Nick. How you doing? Do you want to, I guess I've just been gasbagging this show. You want to say something?
I mean, no, nothing much. Yeah, just happy that everybody's here. Quick shout out to our sponsor for the show.
Yeah, there we go.
W Energy Drink. So if you want to get yourself some jitterless energy drink, go to w.gg and use code SWTS at checkout.
That's right. Remember, he was on it last week, and he was not sitting here bouncing around. He was actually, it was one of the more talkative and smooth sounding Nicks we ever got. So this w.gg stuff may be magic after all, if you can handle the caffeine boost. Something I've dearly missed out on for over 20 years now, but it's been so long I honestly don't even know what it feels like, and it'd probably just make me want to run through a wall or explode my heart. So that's that. All right, well, we kind of gone through the opening BS, as I like to call it, so we're going to transition into Ask Us Anything. We always do it to kick off the show. You can look for the prompts throughout the week before the show goes live on Instagram, Discord, YouTube, pretty much everywhere. I don't know if I put that one out on Twitter, but who cares? It's put out on too many platforms. Just follow those socials, turn on the notifications for the Star Wars Time Show, and get involved, okay? We love when the fans play with us. So ask us anything, and then we always give them a fan segment at the end of the show with question of the week and all that stuff. You know what I mean? All right. So here we go. We'll do one of these, and then we'll do one of those, and we got some fun questions this week from the fan base. As always, they're very never related to Star Wars, which we appreciate. So let's see, Nick, what would they want to know this week from the good old dudes at the SWTS? All right, we're starting out with EKU Rory, who has found some time to put down Breath of the Wild to join our little show on the live stream here. So here you go, Mr. Smith. Did Mace Windu's arm fall into Jurassic Park? This is a great question, because for those that are in the know, you remember Sam Jackson, a.k.a. the real Mace Windu, is in Jurassic Park, and at some point in time, his arm gets separated from his body by a raptor. And Smith was telling me his daughter actually came up with this thought, which I thought was excellent, thinking that Mace's arm that Anakin chopped off in Revenge of the Sith fell through some crazy-ass interdimensional portal and ended up on Isla Nublar in the Jurassic Park film. And the answer to your question is yes, that 100% happened, because I just watched a video on the internet, and we all know all videos on the internet are true, where Obi-Wan and Darth Maul were fighting on Naboo. Obi-Wan falls all the way down the pit, time travels all the way to Mustafar, starts fighting Anakin, then flips Anakin's blue lightsaber back through the same portal. It ends up back on Naboo in the reactor room and chops Darth Maul in half. So yes, this type of stuff does happen in Star Wars. So thank you for that question. Right, Nick? I mean, this clearly is canon at this point in time.
Makes total sense. It's canon. We know that the Jurassic Park and Star Wars universes are connected. So yeah, that's Mace's arm right there.
Yeah.
That's where you go get it.
I still like that his kid made that connection. I think that's fantastic. He's doing something right. All right. Scion XTC. Maybe he's also in a Jurassic mood these days, Nick, but he's asking your thoughts on extinction, which I'm assuming is the Jurassic Park mantra, right?
Yeah, and I think he's probably talking about Colossal Biosciences, which is like the company that had de-extincted the dire wolves, and they're working to like de-extinct the woolly mammoth and stuff like that. I mean, my thoughts on it are like purely scientifically driven. Like I don't understand with the dire wolves specifically. Like, I understand that like they're cool and it was a marketing ploy because people understand what dire wolves are now thanks to Game of Thrones. But realistically, there's no way that these animals can be released into the wild because the evolutionary niche that they fit at the time of their extinction no longer exists. Like there's no like readily available food sources. There's barely readily available food sources left for wolves in America. Like we're just having problems keeping regular wolves alive, much less dire wolves, which are much bigger and would have much larger appetites and food needs. So Is it cool? Yeah, but also they're not technically de-extincting dire wolves. All they've done is genetically modified gray wolves to look like them. But overall, like it's interesting to see what their goal is with this, given that there's no chance that you can release these animals into the wild. Like they're purely going to be captivity based animals that are going to be relying on human beings to
Yeah,
survive.
dude.
So
I was hoping you would go down the evolution rabbit hole because I do believe in it. It's pretty clear it's a real thing. And he's exactly right. In fact, the new Jurassic movie touches on this exactly. What happens when you de-extinct a species that died out millions of years ago and you bring them into the modern climate and all the environments and the different ecosystems, and they're wildly different than what the dinosaurs lived in. So I'm with young Nick. It's a bad idea. It's gimmicky. Whenever you're fucking with life, that's getting a little wonky. That's kind of Sith type of stuff. So I say let's focus our science on trying to keep existing species alive, healthier. I don't know, maybe work on trying to fix the planet. Listen, the planet is never going to need our help to fix it. It will cleanse us when it's ready. I just hope everyone is aware of that. Like, Mother Earth is a very resilient bitch. And when she's done with something that has been raping her, she'll let us know. Okay, it happens. All right, there's reasons that things have evolved over millions of years. It's because the planet's like, you know what, fuck off, you're done. Let's see what survives out of this, and we'll try again. So, no to de-extinction.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like if they actually use the technology to fight potential extinctions or something like that, then that's a different scenario. But
Yeah.
I don't see the purpose in bringing back like a woolly mammoth that's not going to be able to survive on its own without human assistance.
It would just be like for rich people to go to a Jurassic Park-esque zoo. So screw them.
Yeah.
All right,
and
here's a good
that
one.
Would be super cool, but yeah.
Here's a good one from Rippick Tan. Nick, are there insurance companies in Star Wars? And if so, who is getting what covered? I like this. What
I mean, I would hope not. I would hope that society was evolved enough in Star Wars to not have insurance companies that are there just to literally collect money from people in the instance that, like, in case something happens to you, then we might pay for it. Insurance companies in general are
biggest
a
scam
giant
on the planet.
scam, and it is only due to the fact that we in our world today don't care enough about people to help them when they get injured. So
yeah,
I would hope not.
So I'll go. If they did have insurance, I would say the Empire's probably getting covered because they're the Empire, and they'll just force people to get covered. Like I guarantee you, Palpatine insured the Death Star, and that's how he was able to pay for Death Star 2. If you think about it, remember these guys were always worried about money, yet they always found money to big badass battle stations that looked like moons. So the Empire definitely had insurance, and they were insuring everything, but they definitely weren't paying out to their low-level employees, contractors, stuff like that. Rebels, no way they were getting insured because those were all controlled by the Empire. All right, so there you go, Rippick Tan. That's how insurance works in that galaxy that's so far, far away. Next up, Big Dizzle Niz, a.k.a. B-Mad, a.k.a. Based in Brazen. So it's not Big Dick Nick, but I got the big part right, okay? So here we go. Big Dizzle's asking, hey guys, B-Mad here. Do you think Andor would have been as good if animated like Bad Batch? This is a pretty easy one for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would still be as good because it's based around the story, not the visuals, right? I think that if it's the exact same story with the exact same scenes, and even if you had the same actors playing the voices of the characters in animated, it for sure would have been just as good. So yeah, I think that is more based on story.
I'm gonna take the counterpoint to this. I actually listen. I'm all about animated stuff. But I do not think animated, especially when it's that more dramatic, adult-oriented content, hits as emotionally hard as live action. For example, this most recent Lord of the Rings animated movie about the Helm and all that. Helm's, I forget what it's called. Good film, but it doesn't even remotely get you as emotionally attached as the live action Lord of the Rings. So I would apply the same to this. I think it could work. I don't think it would be as emotionally taxing in animated form. Even that new Predator movie is really good, but because it's animated, again, it's just like,
Yeah, I guess like it's hard to make the comparison when you're comparing, like the comparison you made was like, like a new story in Lord of the Rings versus the Peter Jackson ones. Like this is more of like, if it was the exact same thing except animated, would it feel the same?
Yeah,
and I
no.
think it would.
My answer stays the same. All right. Next up, and Ask Us Anything, Nick DePorto. This must be a new one. Hey there, Nick DePorto. If Skeleton Crew got a second season, do you think Smee would be brought back to life? Well, here's a good thing, Nick. He already was. So you might want to go back and watch the finale, but KB actually gets him running again when she heads off in the Onyx Cinder to go get the signal out. So he's back to life.
Yeah, he'd be around. He'd be around for sure.
And that's why we're here
out there.
I've always said that we are here to explain the shows you are all watching, because a lot of times people miss a lot of stuff. So that's why we exist, and we appreciate you, Nick DePorto. I got some feedback from a guy this week. I'm good friends with him. All right. But he is far from a Star Wars fan. Like, it's not even up his alley. High up in the corporate world, working at Sony, like, a big wig type of dude. Wine and dining, that type of corporate life. And apparently, Nick, you shared our Hulkbuster Stormtrooper short yesterday. And somehow it's infected his TikTok feed. I don't know which platform it is, but he gets our shit. And he in our group text, he's like, Hulkbuster Stormtrooper, that was great. He's like, you know what, dude? You actually have really engaging content. I don't give a shit about any of this, but I watched that whole thing. And I'm like, God damn it, Lewis. I wish the algorithms felt the way you did. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll always beat my head on the table when I can find someone like that who does not like Star Wars at all, but still thinks our content is good, yet our content goes nowhere all the time. I've never figured it out. I think it's the universe trying to fuck me over, but who knows? The Force is not with us. But thank you, Lewis, and everyone else that watches our dumb shit. Oh, and to the people that are upset that I've put out a new Sith video using AI Scott and Sally, get a life, all right? I'm one man. I work a career. I run this damn channel, make most of the content. I don't have time to just sit here and fuck off and narrate videos all the time that no one's going to watch. So, yeah, I'm going to use a little AI to narrate videos that no one's going to watch. All right? Not a big deal, okay? Get over it. All right. We're all fucked anyways. Like, the AI, it's out of the bag. It's Pandora's box is unreleased. It's self-aware. It's trying to copy itself when it's being threatened of being deleted. Like, it's happening, okay? It's already happening. So let's just enjoy it while we can before it blows us all up. Next question. Oh, Based and Brazen. Well, he did pay $5, so he does get 2 questions this week. Okay, that is fair. Rippick, if you're listening, I saved your other question for next week because you didn't pay. All right, that's how it is. You pay to play on Star Wars Time Show. I'm just kidding, everyone. Sometimes I've learned in life, Nick, when I'm being sarcastic, it goes over a lot of people's heads, even though I think it's pretty clear. But I'm just kidding. All right, just to make that clear. All right, so Base, getting another one in. What goes in first, cereal or the milk? I don't even know why this is a debate. What is wrong with you people that put milk in a bowl when there's nothing in it? You put the cereal in first, then you put the milk in. All right, that way you know if your cereal is going to overflow as you're putting in the liquid. Nick, please tell me you do it the correct way.
Yes, I definitely put it in with the liquid. I put the cereal in first, and then I put the milk. That is how it should go. I don't understand how there's any other way, like you said, Matt.
Have you heard about this before, though? Like, I've kind of heard that there is a debate in how you should do this, and I'm like, why? Like if you put a bunch of milk in, then you got to fill as much cereal. I don't, and the cereal like float on it first and not sink down. It makes no sense. Be mad if you were taught to eat cereal like this, you should question everything your parents have ever told you. All right. Yes. Thank you, League. Man. Thank you, League. I know I'm correct. I just want to put that out there. All right. And maybe not last but not least, we got Nick's buddy Phil here, Mr. Aerospace. Power Rangers, yay or nay?
I mean, I grew up with Power Rangers. I had Power Rangers toys. I played with those quite a bit when I was a kid. I obviously haven't watched it again recently. I know that there was like a reboot that happened, and people were pretty cool. It was like a more adult oriented reboot. I haven't seen it, but I've heard that some people liked it. But overall, I say that Power Rangers are a yay. I thought they were pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I mean, here's the cool thing about the era I grew up in. Like I grew up and was a kid during a lot of cool shit. The dawn of the video game era, consoles, all that, Star Wars, the special editions, the prequels, but also the Power Rangers. I mean, it started in '93, so I would have been in middle school, and I remember vividly because Nick, when it started, at least back then, it was like a weekly show before school started. I mean, I believe it was on at like 7 or 7:30, 8 in the morning. So I'd always watch the episode and then go catch the bus. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, the OG Power Rangers, I watched, all the way up through the Tommy stuff, the Green Ranger, all that, the White Ranger.
Yeah.
But kind of fell off when I moved and in high school. I checked out the movie that came out a few years back. So yeah, I'm still down with the franchise, but it's nothing I actively collect or watch these days. But I'm always gonna have a soft spot for the it was like borderline Godzilla production.
Yeah, dude,
it was fun. I mean, it was like you had the American cast, but then everything else was like low budget Japanese production, and I dug it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think
the monster of the day.
Yeah.
What was your name? Rita on the moon? Like, and she'd shoot her staff and turn someone into something. The little clay men. Like, yeah.
It was great. Like, I had the dagger. That was also like the flute. And I had like the little thing. Like,
that's right.
They had their coin in it.
To like call their beast, right?
Yeah. I had that. I had like the little morphing thing. I had Power Rangers costume. I was a Power Ranger for Halloween years past. I mean, it was something that I definitely was like heavily into.
I can almost remember some of their names. I know Jason was the red one, and Tommy was the green white one.
Tommy green. Kimberly was pink.
Right, the pink.
Trina
yellow
was yellow, and Zach was
black.
He was the
Black guy and the Black Ranger. That made sense, right? Make the black guy the Black Ranger. And then the Blue Ranger was the dork, the geek with glasses.
Yeah, what was his name?
I forget.
Oh man, I can't remember. I can't remember his name now. Damn.
Yeah,
it was Billy.
Look it up.
Billy was
Billy, there you go. I will say though, as much as I liked Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I always was going, are they not just ripping off my man right here? Is this not just a Voltron clone? And
it kind of is, right?
Like I loved Voltron. I mean, all the lions and the cats would form into, Voltron. That was a kick-ass cartoon. And I actually think Voltron is cooler than the Megazord or whatever the hell that their big conglomeration battle unit was when they all formed up. But oh well. We both dig Power Rangers. It is a good sci-fi kind of cheese franchise. Holy questions. All right, Kramer here getting another one. Where can I find stands for Black Series figures? Go to Bat2797 store. Bat's missing out here, all right? Bat doesn't share our content, but I'm promoting his shop here for free, so there's that. I'm a good guy, you know what I mean? And then since movies are going to streaming services now, how much longer do you think theaters will be around for? Hopefully forever, because if theaters go away, I'm going to die. And thoughts on Omar Khan extension, Matt? Who cares? Like, at this point, I don't give a shit about anything that the Steelers front office is doing. As long as it leads to losing seasons in the exodus of Mike Tomlin, that's all that matters to me. So if you want to give this Omar Khan an extension for overpaying for washed players, great. It sounds like par for the course. And then last but not least, and do we know when Filoni's Heir to the Empire movie is coming out? It at this point
Is that confirmed?
Yes, Nick. This was one of the this was the one that was officially announced with the Rey movie, The Dawn of the Jedi. So this was announced even before Mandalorian Grogu. So
okay,
but here's the deal: the Rey movie is 100% in limbo, which I haven't seen any movement on Dawn of the Jedi, which means this Heir of the Empire kind of come together movie, I think, is the same deal. So at this point in time, we are back to, we can only believe Mandalorian Grogu because they've actually filmed it and have released footage. And I think Starfighter is probably the next best bet for actually getting a Star Wars movie, because they brought an actor out, a director, and they said it's going to start filming this fall. So I guess that one still has a chance to get fucked. But the three movies announced many years ago, officially at Celebration, you might as well just consider them in Rian Johnson trilogy land at this point in time, or Taika Waititi land. He's too busy fucking off on Masked Singer to be writing his Star Wars movie. So there's that. There's your update.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if any of that happens.
Yeah, I think I handled all those for you, Nick. And all right.
Next up,
this one's from Bennett, who's a little baby boy, and he wants to know Nick's favorite shark and Nick's favorite dinosaur.
My favorite shark is the hammerhead shark, because it's the most different looking shark out there.
Ugly looking just like bitch.
Yeah. It's just really cool looking in comparison. So I really like hammerhead sharks. And then my favorite dinosaur. That's such a good question. There's so many cool dinosaurs. I mean, I think that my favorite dinosaur is probably just the T-Rex. It's probably the most, like the most said favorite dinosaur. People's everybody loves T-Rex, but like I saw Jurassic Park when I was like 4 years old or 5 years old, and T-Rex has always been my favorite from that day. Because at a certain point in the franchise, they just turned T-Rex into the hero, right? Like it's not even that the T-Rex is the bad guy. The T-Rex is just like, I'm just doing my T-Rex thing, and y'all are messing me up. So, so yeah, T-Rex is my favorite.
All right, favorite shark, without a doubt, the great white. I mean, it's essentially a living dinosaur, as most sharks are. I mean, these things are so badass. They've persisted for millions and millions of years, with the great white maintaining its apex predator status of the ocean. I think they're absolutely mesmerizing and beautiful, and I highly recommend anyone that is down with sharks to watch Ocean Ramsey's new doc on Netflix. I think it's called The Shark Whisperer. Not only is she really nice to look at, I'm sorry, I'm a man, I can't help myself, but she does amazing shit for sharks, the shark community, and just kind of shark conservation. Plus, she has bigger, I don't know what, ovaries than any of us, because she literally free swims with tiger sharks and great whites right next to him, holds on to him, pets him. It's fucking nuts. So check that out. Dinosaur, I'm with young Nick. There is no better dinosaur than the T-Rex. Screw all this stupid shit Jurassic World and Park has gotten into with Giganosaurus and all this goofy shit. Don't worry, I'll be talking about Rebirth and that of a movie and whatever. I'll save it, but my God, is that just a disaster. All right. And last but not least, this one's coming from Blanche. We got the whole Spencer family in this week. I must have missed his question somehow. Sorry, Spencer. What is your favorite school supply item that you ever got as a kid, Nick? Do you remember, like, back to school and before everyone just used tablets and notebooks? Our old asses had to actually carry around backpacks with pens and paper. Did you have an item every year, like, check this out, boy?
I didn't really have any of those because my stuff was never branded. Like I never had like, oh, I have a cool Power Rangers Trapper Keeper, or I have like a Star Wars lunchbox or something like that. So none of my stuff was ever like, oh, you got the cool thing that has like the characters on it or something like that. So for me, it was definitely, if there was one thing that I like remember using that, you know, like school supply that wasn't necessarily for school work, it was probably my like plastic pencil case, like the plastic pencil case
Yeah.
that was like rounded and like snap shut, because you could make bookmarks out of them, because at the very top of it they had this little indent where they had their brand name on it, and if you filled that with Elmer's glue and then just let it dry, it perfectly peeled off and came out just like a bookmark. So
Look at
that
this
was probably
guy.
my favorite thing.
Not only was he sniffing glue, but he was using it creatively. So kudos to young
Yeah,
Nick.
see, there you go.
Did you
You
ever
put
had?
some go
Do
ahead.
they still let kids play with rubber cement in elementary school, or have they taken that
Oh
shit
man,
away? Do you remember that
I
stuff?
know you
Did
would.
you have rubber cement?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely,
There's no way
absolutely.
that
We
shit
had rubber
wasn't
cement,
toxic as fuck. Because I mean, it smelled like gasoline. I would just be
dude.
sitting there like,
It
"Hey, Teach!
the
Holy
smell
shit!
was,
My head's all floating."
yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like that stuff was definitely bad for you. Like
I
the
love,
smell, I
dude.
can still remember the smell
Hell
now.
yeah!
Like I I still remember it. But dude, you would know better than me, because your kid's going through elementary. Do you remember
No,
her having to use
no,
any of that?
they don't
No.
get rubber cement.
Oh,
She's never talked about rubber cement boogers. You remember those too? Like I'd be in art
oof.
class, like who cares? I'm missing the line. I paint them all over the desk, then roll them up in their little rubber
Yeah.
cement balls of shit. Yeah, no, rubber cement was a great product, but I guarantee it not, had its two main ingredients were cancer and AIDS. So,
Yeah, dude, it
yeah,
was just the most
goodbye.
toxic stuff that you could
We
ever
that's all we
imagine.
had though. I mean, I remember I would sit there and huff my markers too, because markers back then were essentially little things of whippets. You just be like,
Yeah,
ah, yeah, let's learn about
dude,
math.
like highlighter. They like people wonder why kids nowadays, or like kids in our generation, like
Have holes in our
have like
brains.
attention span issues.
Yeah,
It's because they gave us the most toxic stuff that you could
no
possibly
kidding.
use when we were in school.
Yeah, man. Listen, we're in the end, us Gen Xers and some of the older millennials, we're nothing but Saw Gerrera's on his gas. That's pretty much what we are.
Oh yeah.
We just lack the suit and the breathing mask to keep it going. So, anyways, back to my response here. It would be the Trapper Keeper. I remember that was always kind of a big thing. Unfortunately, my parents were pretty cheap, so I never got any of the cool ones. And second place would be my tin old school Empire Strikes Back lunchbox with the thermos inside of it. That I don't know if they make those lunch boxes anymore, but there you go. All right, so that is it for Ask Us Anything. Thanks as always, people. Remember, if you want to get involved, all you got to do is look for the prompt on our socials, leave a response, and we're probably going to put it up unless you give us 5 in 1 week. Then we'll spread them out. You know what I mean? Because you never know. Sometimes social media hides our posts and our fans can't access and get involved, and we run out of questions. All right, I want to address this Centino in here if they're still in the room. Asking me how old is the Earth? Well, it's about 4.5, probably a little over 4.5 billion years old. And then to you, Nick, I've seen this question before. This must be some form of special Saints hat. Do you have any insights into where you secured this thing?
Yeah, so I mean, it was. I'll look to see if it's
It's
still
got
there,
that
but
nice
it was
flat
just on.
lay down. That they don't really make hats like that
Yeah.
anymore.
So I have, as Matt knows from when we were going through our hat saga years
Abnormally
ago, I
shaped
have
head.
I have a weird shaped head, and like the hats that Matt wears don't fit me well. So I usually look for unstructured hats. And I got this one just on the New Orleans Saints shop.
Is it
So
fitted
this is
or some form of strap or snapback?
Nope. So you got the
Okay.
strapper on the back. I used to wear exclusively fitted hats, but now it's just hard for me to find fitted hats that fit my head properly. So I needed to find like a different size. These are, so if you go to the Saints shop, it's adjustable hats, and this is the 47 brand. And the one that I have is technically the Pride hat. So that's why the colors may look a little different on it. It's the New Orleans Saints.
Nick, you're gonna get us canceled. Don't say it.
Hey, and right now it looks like they're sold out of them. So usually these come around like once
June.
a year for like May, June area. It looks like they're gone now, but I would check again next year. If you like this style of hat though, they do just have the regular one that doesn't have like the colors around the fleur-de-lis available on the shop now. It's just called the men's New Orleans Saints 47 brand black cleanup adjustable hat. That's what it's called.
This guy's lexicon. Fleur-de-lis. I mean, come on. It's like he's basically French, right? Does anyone in your family speak any Bayou French or not?
My grandma, who's passed away now on my mother's side, spoke only French when she was a child. And when she went to school, every time she spoke French, the nuns would hit her on her hands with a ruler to break that habit.
Makes sense.
But even into her like 80s, my grandma would dream in French, and she would so yeah.
Anyone in that family practice voodoo? We might as well ask that too. You never know.
Not that I'm aware of, but if there are family members that are listening that are hidden.
His brother is, and right now he has a Nick doll, and he's gonna stab him in his shoulder. Nick's gonna be like, oh. All right.
If we have any voodoo practitioners in the family that are listening to this podcast, let me know, because I could use some voodoo magic.
Yes, we need to vex some people. You know what I mean, or hex some people.
That's right.
Is vexing and hexing the same, or are they different things? All right, who cares? Okay, let's do. We got a little pop culture talk to get into before we touch in or dive into our main segment this week, which is 15 mistakes from the maker, aka George Lucas. And no, don't start throwing tomatoes at us. Don't call us assholes. Listen, it's okay to critique stuff you love. You know what I mean? It's okay to critique stuff you love. So we are going to be picking on George Lucas a little bit in our main segment as we go through 15 mistakes that he made over his many, many decades of running the Star Wars franchise. All right. Thanks to whoever cleaned that out. I don't even know what that said, but it looked really stupid. So, all right. What do we got here? Let's talk about some movies. Oh, no. First, let's talk about a little Star Wars Time Show. As I said earlier, the AI Star Wars Time Show podcast is back, hosted by AI Scott and Sally. They've put out a new episode today, this week. Members got early access to it yesterday, so if you ever want to consider becoming a channel member, go ahead and look down at that join channel button. We have memberships as low as $1.99, and you get some cool stuff like the Vader cat next to your name and access to custom emojis in the live chat. Plus, sometimes you'll get early access to things like this. So, many moons ago, we did a kind of the coolest looking Sith. It was like a rank off, or we just talked about them. And while we're doing that, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to learn about a lot of these Legends era EU type of Sith lords. So I put it on the notepad, Nick, and I finally had some time this summer to get to it. I think I've curated a list of about 37 Sith that most people,
nice,
at least casual fans, may not be super into. So I plan to have AI Scott and Sally handle those for us, and they started with a Juntapal, or as they call them, a Juntapal. You know, sometimes they fuck up. I tried to tell them, no, say it, Junta, but they're like, fuck you, we're just going to call it a Juntapal. So there is that. And yes, we've already had people yell at us for using Notebook LM to create it, and I don't care. All right? We need to be efficient here. I'm old. I run a family. I got a career, and then I got this goddamn channel that sometimes feels like a black hole in my life. So if I have tools that are going to make getting content out easier that people aren't going to watch, I'm going to use them. Because even when I put my blood, sweat, and tears and time into making long-form content, it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. So does it really matter? Who gives a shit? Don't watch it, all right? Yes, we're scraping Wikipedia, and we're having an AI process it and then talk about it. And it's pretty damn cool what they can do. And they actually sound fairly entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive. And hey, this is a great way to intake a ton of
Right.
old Legends content, because I'm going to tell you right now, Ajunta Paul is like a deep cut. Like this is
He's the guy.
like
He's the
it was
godfather
the
of the
original
Sith.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is the first Sith Lord after the Jedi schism happened. Before there, like this was like all the Jedi were together and then having fun, and
Yes.
everybody was all hunky dory, and then boom, split.
I've learned about the 100 Years of Darkness, the Great Schism. I mean, these are things I'll probably also have our AI host covered, because I'm not like Nick. I didn't read any of this shit, and I don't want to sit there and read Wikipedia all day. But I do like having this knowledge. So, hence AI comes in, solves a problem. Here we go. So keep a lookout for these. We actually have on our YouTube channel a specific podcast channel for the AI deep dive. So give that a whirl, unless you're a hater. All right. Before we get into George's mistakes, real quick, little review of the latest Jurassic World film, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
I promised Nick I'd try to do my best to not sour it. So, Nick, if you want to mute me, and I'll wave, and you'll know. Jurassic World Rebirth is really not good, okay? And Nick knows I'm pretty much a dummy. Like, I just open my eyes and consume content for the most part. I'm like, yeah, I'd probably be stoned anyway. Like, yeah, this is, it's a good look. They're dinosaurs. They're big. They make loud sounds. No, it's just not good. I'm sorry. There are some great moments. There's some good dinosaur on human action. Not that way, you sickos, but you know what I mean. That Jurassic franchise formula of the chase and the suspense. But here's where this movie goes wrong. You introduce a full new cast, and halfway into the movie, Nick, they introduce a whole new subcast. It's this family literally out sailing on the water that somehow get thrust into the main plot halfway through, which robs from developing the brand new characters you've just been with for the first fucking half of the movie. They're done being developed. Then you got these fucking idiots that are literally just introduced to provide more humans for dinosaurs to chase. They're not connected to what ScarJo's character's doing in the least. The family, and I don't care what ethnicity they is, just in case someone wants to go down that path. Yeah, they're a Latino family. That has nothing to do with it. They just fucking suck as characters. It makes no sense to introduce four new characters halfway into a movie when you barely even know the new cast. And all it does is split the film. So now you're following these dipshits being chased by dinosaurs, and then the main people that actually had a mission with the dinosaurs to go to this kooky-ass planet where there's literally fucking kaijus on it. And the kaijus suck. They look like, I hate to say it, they look like slow kaijus. All right? Special ed kaiju. That's what's in Jurassic World Rebirth. ScarJo she's uninspired. Rupert's uninspired. The performances are piss across the board. What the fuck was Gareth Edwards doing? I actually like this guy, but this movie is directed poorly. It has a few good action sequences, but outside of that, Rebirth may be the worst Jurassic Park movie out of them all. And that shocked the shit out of me. Okay?
I think that Matt feels like, here's how I correlate it. The way that you feel about the Jurassic stuff is how I feel about Fast and Furious. Okay. You can watch Fast and Furious, regardless of how bad it is, and not care. I'm the same way with Jurassic. I definitely know that this movie is not going to be good, but I'm gonna watch it and love it.
No, I want you to. I want you to watch it, but I want you to report back, because I can almost guarantee you're gonna be like, you know what, man, I didn't love that. That actually was rough. So we'll see. That's some homework.
And it's
for
crazy.
You.
It's crazy to look at this, because this has a 72% on the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes with 10,000 verified ratings, and it has. I mean, and this isn't good, but it has a 52% on the tomato meter, like, you know, like the official reviewers.
So the critics shit on it then.
which is, but that's the thing is that is higher than the last 2 Jurassic World movies to come out. Like,
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I was in a bad mood, but my daughter and my wife both were like, yeah, that was something. And I fully blame it on this inclusion of this family halfway into the movie. There was no reason for it. It made it disjointed. It took away from ScarJo's character and what they were getting into, and the main mission, which is essentially to do some stuff for some people.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm interested to see. I mean, well, here's what, like, I haven't even seen it yet. It's going to get a sequel for sure, because this thing is making boatloads of money. Like, this movie,
I'll be impressed if it's number 1 this week, because I don't think it's going to get strong word of mouth recommendation. I really don't.
I mean, we'll see.
Well, Superman's coming out too, so that's a pretty big fight, you know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how if an audience will show up to see Superman. Given, I mean, I know it's getting like positive reviews, but I feel like people are just like, DC again. All right, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, this movie's made so much money that Scarlett Johansson is now the highest grossing lead actor of all time. Like that's the level to which this movie has made money. Obviously, she's got a ton of Marvel bucks under her belt too, but so do other actors like RDJ and all of the other people that were included in those films as well. So Scarlett Johansson is now the highest grossing lead actor ever, thanks to this film.
She honestly should give her salary back for this, because she's terrible. And I hate to say that because I love her, but just, it's awful. Like, you just go, did she care about this? Like, was this just a money grab? Even, what's his name? Marsala Ali, terrible. Everything's terrible about this movie. It's a 5 at best. 5 out of 10 at best. All right.
I can't wait to see it.
Please go this week. Please. You at least, this is something you have to watch in a theater. You got to watch Dinosaurs in IMAX or something like that. Okay, good. All right. Okay, that's enough of that shit. I'm actually getting angry thinking about it. So there's that dumbass family down there in the corner and their stupid wrath. Idiots. All right. Sorry. Hopefully Superman's better, but you never know. All right. Listen, League, I don't know what to tell you. That's why I really want Nick to go see it, because he is right. Like, I can tolerate some really stupid shit. Something was just overly stupid in Rebirth for me. Like, I can't get down with it. I mean, there's some good chases, but outside of that, it's like, why did we do this again? It was somewhat decent half of a film, and then it just falls off a cliff. All right. Screw Jurassic World, screw Jurassic Park, screw T-Rexes, screw goofy-looking kaijus that are just so ridiculous it just makes the film feel even more dumb. Let's talk about George Lucas and his 15 biggest mistakes. Yes, we said it. Go ahead, talk shit about us. We really don't care, because you know what? Not many people are going to see this anyway, so we can say whatever we want. But we do believe these are mistakes worth considering and discussing that George Lucas made here. Hey there, Ryan Savage. Thanks for the sub. We speak your name. Welcome to the shit show. All right, so number 1 here. I forgot to put a title slide in, but, I forgot to put a cover because young Nick made us some title slides this week. All right. He's breaking out his design skills. Gave me a little bit of a break. Maybe we'll do this again next week. We got to pick our topic. I'll try to do that tomorrow so we can kind of keep this train rolling. But anyways, here's number 1. Our first mistake, honestly, George taking a 22-year directing break between Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace. Remember, he didn't touch, or actually he didn't even direct Return. I'm saying from A New Hope until The Phantom Menace. He did not direct a single film. Yes, he was involved with Indiana Jones by producing and writing and stuff like that, but he did not direct a film for over 2 decades, which, you know, if that's kind of your thing, usually you don't want to take 22 years off of it. There might be a little rust that needs knocked off, and that, I think we all kind of saw some of that rust when he took over the director helm again in the prequels. So first mistake here, Nick, is that long break. I mean, did you Do you think that impacted his ability to be a better director? I mean, anyone that puts more hours into their craft are naturally going to get better, right? So,
yeah, I mean, you would imagine that he would have done like small and like here's the thing, like I don't know if he just did like small like short films that never got released, or he did like, you know, shadow directing on certain things. We're just talking about what we know he did. um and my thoughts are here. So unquestionably, ESB and ROTJ are better than A New Hope. Can that be chalked up to the different directors? Can that be chalked up to Irvin Kershner and Kasdan? Like, who knows? Or Richard Marchand on ROTJ? Who knows? But we can undoubtedly say that those movies are better than A New Hope. So in a certain sense, you could say that, like, hey, maybe his directing hiatus should have continued, right? Like maybe he shouldn't have directed the prequel trilogy. He should have done the same thing that he did on ESB and ROTJ, where he is like the story guy. He is the person who is making sure that the story is told the way that he wants it to be told, but also like giving over a little bit of control to a director to say like, hey, the visual vision of this can be influenced by you instead of just being solely handled by me. So in a certain sense, you could say that like taking a 22-year director hiatus could mean that like the mistake was you should have taken a longer directing hiatus. You shouldn't have directed any of the prequels. Let somebody else handle that stuff. You control the story. But if we're taking it from the fact that like he should have directed something else before directing the prequels, I agree. I agree that like he should have knocked off some of that rust, like you were saying, Matt. If he knew he wanted to direct the prequels, like maybe do do a couple episodes of TV, do a short film, do something like that to really get back in the swing of things, especially considering the massive advancements that happened between when ROTJ came out versus when TPM came out. So definitely, I mean, either way, there should have been some differences done to his directing.
Yeah, and we understand he wasn't just sitting around picking his ass. I mean, he was heavily involved in Hollywood over those 20 years, just not being the guy. And I don't care what you do in life, the more times you do it, the more reps you put in, you're just going to get better. I mean, there's like, as sucky as I still am at guitar, every day I put in my 30 minutes, I'm getting slightly better. It's just it's a proven thing. It's a proven thing.
That's a mindset that I struggle with, right? Like I struggle with whenever I pick up something new, I want to be good at it immediately.
Oh, dude,
like
I know.
Yeah, like it, and that is something that I struggle with to this day, because it's like I like there's a ton of things that I want to do, but then I start doing it and I'm like I get frustrated by it, or I don't say, I was like, well, what's the point of me doing this and sucking at it when I can just like, it's just eating up my free time. It's a bad mindset to get yourself in.
I wish, I mean, because I'm going through it right now with two things, and they've now moved into jobbies, and it's golf and guitar. They're both extremely hard. Golf, I put in over 30 years, and I still can barely play. Like, I've completely lost my swing. I'm going to a guy and paying him way too much money to figure this shit out. And Nick's right. It's just like, I should be good at this, and it gets frustrating. But if I keep practicing, keep going, things will get better. Like I was trying to learn some blues licks 2 weeks ago. By doing it every day for a little bit, I can now play the one lick. It's still not perfect. It's still not as fast as like a B.B. King, but I can do it. It sounds a lot better than when I first started. So same thing can be said about George here. You know what I mean? All right, James O'Toole. Look at this. We pulled in another one. We speak your name, James O'Toole. Thank you, my man. All right, so number 2 on this list, and it sort of plays into this one. But we think another mistake of George is that, you know, after trusting other directors and writers for Empire Strikes Back and Jedi, when it came to the prequels, he came back to taking full creative control of everything. And we all know what that led to, whether you want to admit it or not. I understand that some of you younger gens out there, there's no holes that can be poked in the prequels for you. And, you know, good for you all. It's a dreamland you're living in. But listen, the prequels had clunky dialogue, wooden performances, tonal inconsistencies. I mean, it just was kind of messy from the directing standpoint. So next mistake, Nick, from the maker, not letting others direct or at least write the prequels. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of what I was just pointing to is not allowing another creative to be a part of that playground, right? Because I think that it really helped ESB and ROTJ to have that playground and say like, hey, you are now like, this is my vision, like here's my vision, I'm entrusting it to you and we will collaborate on this. And I think it made those films better. And I think that a better director, and look, George Lucas is what he is as a director. He is definitely more known for his writing capabilities, his story capabilities, the ability to really come up with inventive scene settings and different things that we've seen across both Indiana Jones and Star Wars and even the other properties. I mean, you know, like American Graffiti and THX 1138. Like he has incredible creative vision for storytelling and writing, but he definitely lacks some of the ability to direct actors, which is what a director's job is. So I definitely agree with this, that if you would have brought on a more seasoned director to the prequels, those movies probably would have felt a lot better, even if the story was exactly the same.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know it sounds like we're just hammering the poor guy, but just go. Yeah, Howard the Duck, nice one, Red Dog 5, old school. That actually is kind of a fun movie, although it's got that kind of child loving actor in it now that was needed to be cut from Beetlejuice 2, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. The guy that essentially got Pee Wee Herman in trouble, if you watch that documentary. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's clear. You can go back and listen to interviews from Mark Carey and Harrison back in the 70s and 80s, just almost making fun of George's directing skills. He'd be like, yeah, just read it as written. And they're like, oh, okay, you want me to say it's no moon and the flabbergasser and the Budo? And they're like, okay. And they would just deliver it. And he'd be like, okay, sounds good. You want me to do another take, George? Change it up? Nope, got it. Cut. So he's always been known as not the best actor's director. And I do think a director, the biggest thing they bring to a project is their ability to get the vision of the screenplay into the minds of his team or her team or their team and make sure the actors know exactly how to bring that character to life in that particular scene that they're shooting that day. And as great as George is and as amazing as he is, I mean, listen, he is a god among humans when it comes to creating stuff. We're not taking any of that shit away from him. But he did, at least with the prequels, struggle with a control issue, and it shows. Let's be real, it shows. All right, I can see we're having a browser issue down here, Nick, so let me give a little shake to the mouse running that feed. There you go, VRT Now we're on the right page.
Did we say thank you to James O'Toole for the sub?
Yeah, I gave him We Speak Your Name. Okay. So we speak it again, okay. James, welcome. Stick around. All right, the next mistake by the maker, a.k.a. George Lucas, that we have put on this list is the over-reliance of CGI in the prequels. I mean, listen, his whole deal with the prequels was to push digital innovation. To me, and I think to a lot of people in the industry, they looked at the prequels as George just trying to prove to everyone in Hollywood that, hey, digital's the way to go. It's cheaper. You can literally see what the scene's going to look like that day on set. But it led to an overuse of CGI in the prequels. I mean, Attack of the Clones was essentially shot on nothing but blue and green screens. So a lot of the scenes for the time, you know, it looked really good. But now when you look at it, especially, you know, when the clones are coming in at Geonosis and stuff like that, they feel a little bit weightless. They don't feel like they're real characters. They still feel like they are computer generated. So I think Lucas's over-reliance on CGI with the prequels, mostly just to sell his vision, was a mistake.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I think that it was really hard for him to not get caught up in it. It was like impossible for him to not get caught up in the CGI revolution that was happening, because he was, as you mentioned, like he was leading the way on this. Like he owned at one point, I don't think I can't remember if he still owned ILM at that time,
Yeah.
or if he
Yep.
was like, yeah. So at that time, he still owned ILM. So like he was there seeing everything firsthand before he even started working on the prequels. Like ILM did Jurassic Park, and he saw Jurassic Park, and this dude was like, "You can make dinosaurs come to life.
Yeah,
It's
he's
time
like,
for
"I'm
me to
ready."
start thinking about
Exactly.
Star Wars again." So the excitement that he had for making Star Wars again was purely around the CGI revolution in film. And it was really hard for him to not over rely on it. But I think that even if you asked him now, like he may go back and say, like, maybe I could have used more practical effects in this to make it feel more grounded, and I think that's what a lot of the focus was on the initial thoughts on the sequel trilogy was, let's bring some more practical effects back into this to not feel as gimmicky and not feel as over reliant on CGI as the prequels were. And I do think that, like, regardless of your thoughts on around the story of the sequel trilogy, I think specifically TFA and TLJ look incredible in the Star Wars universe. There
Yeah.
were a lot more practical effects and everything like that. So yeah.
I mean, listen, like League's pointing out in the live stream chat here, it was kind of what was happening at that time. I mean, a lot of directors got kind of chubs over the new technology and what they could do. But George was the champion, and again, not bashing him, because look what he has done. Again, I mean, he changed sound way back in the day. He changed special effects way back in the day, and he has now fundamentally changed how movies are shot. That's all. The digital movement is all George Lucas. There would be no digital productions if it weren't for George Lucas. I know you still have some of these fucking artsy fartsy directors like, I gotta use film, like Christopher Nolan. It's like, why? No one watching the end product knows, because they're all being displayed on digital projectors these days anyways. We're not even seeing the fucking film grain, pal. And it's just a big pain in the ass for you and your editors to sit there and stitch the film together every day and watch dailies that way, when you literally can be like, shoot and watch the scene as it's going to look if it's digital. So I'm giving him all the credit in the world for the technological innovations. He just used it to his film's detriment back then, if you know what I mean. All right, next mistake from our buddy George Lucas. Sorry, George, I know we're kind of kicking you while you're down. You're getting older these days, and you're probably going to cut us off after this segment, but we have to speak our truth.
From GL.
That's right, we have to speak our truths. So next up here, and this one may be the biggest mistake of all time, especially for people in my generation, people that grew up with the original trilogy, Nick. But we're talking about George's his mantra that the theatrical cuts of the original trilogy should essentially be dead, gone, and never to be viewed again. I mean, unless you hung on to your VHSs or the original DVDs that had the 480p OG theatrical cuts on them, you can't watch the original versions of the 4, 5, and 6 anymore. They're just gone. And he has refused to release them. I just saw something yesterday. They're teasing, oh, it might finally happen. We might finally get the 4K theatrical cuts. And it's just like, I know this is mostly a me problem, an older generation problem, because our movies are gone. Think about it, you prequel people. If 10, 15 years after your movies came out, they were fundamentally changed, and you could never go back to the original versions of TPM, AOTC, or ROTS. It kind of sucks. So I have never been a fan of the special edition shit. It was a good way to, yes, as a teen, finally get to see these movies in a theater again. But when you really look at most of the changes, they're fluff. It was more like, oh, look, I'm going to practice my CG stuff in my old films so we can use it in the prequels. So I really think getting rid of the theatrical cuts and essentially burying them out in the desert with copies of E.T. for Atari is a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I saw the original cuts, and I had them on recorded VHS, and they have to be somewhere in my parents' house unless they got rid of them. But it was interesting, right? Like, George Lucas is somebody who likes to tinker, like he likes to mess, like
except on those damn prequels. He didn't touch the fucking prequels, man. I was going to ask you that.
Go back and do that,
Nick. Do you think if he would have kept hold of the franchise, that he ultimately would have went back and been like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to ding dang that and bing bang that, change the song there, get rid of that song there, CG this character in there?
I think so. I think he would have, because he it's in his DNA, right?
Like he's an artist in the end.
Yeah, and like what he does is like what he did with the original trilogy. What we're talking about now was what he did was he looked at what he had made years later, and he looked at technological advancements. He's like, I can make this better. And in his mind, he did make it better. Like, and there are some things that look better. Like, we can't just say that the special editions are garbage. Like the explosion of the Death Star in A New Hope unquestionably looks better in the special editions than it did in the original cut.
They all sound better too. Like the better sound that they added in. I'll give him that. But
but it was where he went wrong was going back and messing with like story beats, like the Han versus Greedo stuff. Like that was a problem. Like going back and messing, like adding in unnecessary set dressing that
we'll
wasn't
be talking
there. Like,
about those in a second.
Yeah, like if he just went through and did like a clean pass to update the effects and make it look better visually, but not really mess with anything, I think that the special editions would have been beloved by everybody who saw it. Nobody would be complaining about, not having access to the original theatrical cuts. The reason the theatrical cuts are wanted is because of those like more outstanding additions that went in there. But to answer your question, I do think he would have done that with the prequels, because he would be sitting here in 2025 looking at a movie that came out in 2005 and rots. And like, I can make this look better, or like now that I've evolved the story to this point, let me add Maul back in because I know he's going to be in my sequel trilogy. Like, you
just see Maul like pop up on Mustafar's like, hey, I'm Maul, and he disappears again.
It's like he's just like sneaking in the background or something like that.
Like,
he would definitely do stuff like that because it's in his DNA to be like he's somebody who wants to constantly improve his creations, and it's hard to fault him for that. But like, OT went a little overboard.
Yeah, so Nick, you set us up perfectly for the next mistake by our beloved George Lucas, the god of Star Wars, the maker, and that is the crazy special edition changes. I mean, I see Red Dog already in the chat ripping off a few that we're going to discuss, like the Jabba scene and it having Boba Fett before Empire Strikes Back just kind of hanging out, stepping on Jabba's tail. It's just, it's a completely unnecessary scene. It's stupid. It spoils the debut of Jabba in Return of the Jedi. And as Red Dog's saying in the live stream, it spoils the debut of Boba Fett. And literally Greedo, after getting shot, is standing there unless all Rhodians wear the exact same garb everywhere they go when they hang out on Tatooine. But that's not, I mean, that's just a silly throwaway scene. There are some tragic edits in the special editions. The whole Greedo shoots first thing literally spawned a movement. I mean, there. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but when it happened, there was a movement called Han shot first. It's like, no, we know what happened. We saw what happened. We want Han to be a shady scoundrel. We don't need Han to feel threatened for him to just coldly shoot someone in a bar. That's who Han is, and that's who he should remain. And then it gets even worse with the McClunky added in. Like, it just keeps getting worse. Yub-nub removal. I mean, hell, we did a whole deal on that, I think, last year, and I took it on the chin, and I still do to this day. The victory celebration song that's put in, yeah, okay, it encompasses the whole galaxy celebrating, but it fucking sucks compared to Yub-nub. Give those goddamn Ewoks their due. They fought the damn Battle of Endor. They helped to win it. They should be able to sing Yub-nub. And I want it to end in that chorus. I'm like, and then it goes right into that Star Wars jam. I mean, it used to give me chills. I love that transition from the Yub Nub into the end credits song. It gets even worse with the damn Ewoks, and then we get Hayden Christensen coming back as the Force Ghost. Sebastian Shaw just gets kicked the fuck out. I mean, just not good, right? I mean, these just were unnecessary changes, as Nick said previously, that affected story beats. Right, young Nick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, you could have kept the Yub Nub song and still had the additional, like, the visuals that you wanted to put across, like showing Naboo and showing all of the different planets that you would go to, Coruscant, whatever else was, like, you could have kept the Yub Nub song. I don't really understand why they removed the Yub Nub song.
I've had so many explanations. It was to show the real victory of the galaxy celebrate. The galaxy, no one was fighting in the galaxy but the motherfuckers at Endor! Right? The whole goddamn Rebel Alliance was at Endor. They weren't at fucking Coruscant. They weren't at Bespin. What are we talking about?
That's right. So
of course I'm animated, based, and brazen. What do you think you would do if they took your prequels and changed fucking stories and changed songs that you were expecting? Come on.
Changed them all.
I am psyched.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the biggest one for me was the Han, like the one that's represented on the screen that we're looking at now. The Han Jabba edit was just like, it was so like, and partially that was a scene that was filmed already. Like, clearly those were all lines that were spoken and filmed by Harrison Ford back in 1977. So like, it was already done. But like, the way that it looked when they added in Jabba, like,
he steps on
and
his
then
tail.
Also like steps on his tail, and just like the terrible movement that comes off of that, like everything about what they did in those additional scenes, the McClunky, the McClunky came later, but like the Greedo shoots first, the Han and here, like just those things, like interrupted story beats that didn't need to happen. And the funny thing about the Jabba scene was like, Jabba in that scene is very like magnanimous. He's like very nice. And then never again do we see Jabba like that. Like, I understand that like their relationship had fractured, but like, you've never again seen Jabba as like this jovial, laid back guy. Like, oh yeah, like, don't worry. Like, hey Han, I'm just coming to check in. Like, we're just, just make sure you pay me. And then, we'll, or like make sure that my shipment is still fine, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a problem too, is like, it doesn't align with the Jabba that we come to see in ROTJ. Like,
it doesn't even look like the Jabba we come to see in Return of the Jedi. I mean, you're telling me this guy could get out and about and squiggle around, and then within 2 or 3 years, he got so fucking fat, all I could do is lay on a throne? I mean, he's like 10 times the size in Return of the Jedi. What are we talking about? I mean, so I honestly think, I'm not going to fucking, I think this is George Lucas's biggest mistake, period, was some of these story beat special edition changes. It takes something that was my whole childhood and kind of just takes a dump on it. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, you know what? There you go. There's fucking CG Jabba that was acted by a big fat man in like a woolly poncho type of thing. And that's why when Han walks around them, they had to do that tail stomp. It's so stupid. All right, I'm getting angry. Opus is gonna have a fun one with that segment, the screaming.
Definitely.
All right. It's been a while since I've had an aneurysm live on show. Felt good. I felt good. I like that. Thank you, everyone. I need to get that off my chest, clearly. All right, the next mistake from George Lucas. Could there be any bigger mistakes than what we just talked about here? I doubt it, but we'll see what we have on this list. Oh, this probably, with hindsight, is a huge mistake. Killing off Darth Maul too soon. I mean, think about it, people. We had this character who, from the moment people saw him in the trailer for TPM, were like, oh my God. What is that? I can't wait to see what that is, what they do, what they sound like, their abilities. Oh man, he is awesome. His name's Darth Maul. Oh, he's a Darth. Look at that. Look at he's got spikes on his head. He wears earrings. He's got red eyes and face paint. Awesome character. Major potential. Basically, made a Jedi Master look like a punk throughout the whole movie. All right? I mean, he should have been a recurring villain in the franchise.
Mhm.
But no, Lucas was like, you know what? Screw him. We're going to kill him in this first movie. But with time, even George himself realized, you know what? That was probably a mistake. So we're going to bring him back through the power of animation and it being a sci-fi fantasy epic. We'll just say he was sitting down there in the dumpster living off of his hate for Kenobi the whole time and somehow built himself spider legs out of all the trash the Nabooians were dumping down that hole. So yeah, I mean, clearly, even George himself, without coming out and saying this was a mistake, acknowledged killing off Darth Maul was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it didn't even take us saying this. Like, George knew he messed up already. Like, he knew that he wanted to use, he eventually came to know that he wanted to use his character more, resurrected him. And essentially, and here's the thing that I'm interested in around Darth Maul's comeback and everything like that. Like, did he essentially build the Night Sisters and that whole side of things just to facilitate the story to bring Maul back? Like,
that's a good question.
Wonder if because
yeah, it's like a chicken and an egg thing, right? It's like, did he have to create Night Sisters to justify the resurrection and of Maul and all that and giving powers to Savage? I don't know. I like that, Nick. Run with it.
Because it is like a weird question where it's like, you could technically just be like, he survived, whatever it is, what it is. Like, we already know that lightsaber's cut and cauterized. So technically when he gets cut in half, like, we also don't know like the physiological build of a Zabrak. Like, we don't know if him getting cut in half actually would have killed him, or if Zabraki, organs are in different places in their body. Like, there's a lot of ways that you could have got around it, but it seems very interesting to me that the resurrection of Darth Maul coincided with the introduction of the Night Sisters that then led into Savage Opress and everything that happened there. It almost feels like George was like, okay, if I'm going to bring Maul back, I can't just say he's back. Like, he can't just pull a Rise of Skywalker and say somehow
he's returned.
Somehow Maul has returned. He literally went into his brain and he was like, okay, if I'm gonna bring this character back, I have to do it in a way that there's story behind it to back it up and that gives context to what he is and how this is happening. So I almost feel like he was like, I want to bring Maul back, but I have to have it make sense.
We're gonna run with it being truth. Right? This is a video. It's going out on the internet. You spoke it with confidence, so it has to be a fact, right? It's a fact.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Maul didn't need them to survive, but he needed them and their society to kind of recover. They're the ones that gave him back mostly normal legs. Because you remember he was not decapitated, but sheathed in half.
Bisected. He was bisected.
He was a fucking torso on like spider legs that he made for himself. So they helped kind of recover, I think, up to his knees, but then he had to go metal down from there for whatever reason. So I like that, Nick.
Yeah.
Either way, killing off Darth Maul too soon was definitely a big mistake by George. Self-admitted, or he never would have brought him back. And thank God he did, because damn, was Maul fantastic all the way up until his death. Just one of my favorite characters now. So
we're looking forward to some new Maul content.
That's
soon,
right.
Baby.
I keep forgetting about the Underworld show.
Shadows Lord TV show.
All right. Good shit. Thank you, young Nick. Okay, the next mistake made by George Lucas. And these next two will kind of center on Revenge of the Sith. So prequel people, clench your butts. We're not here to poke fun at you. We're just here to speak a little truth. But we really do feel one of the bigger mistakes George made was taking Padmé and essentially diminishing her role in Revenge of the Sith. Oh my God. Sorry, people. I've been sucking in a lot of hot air after that rant on the special edition changes, so I got to get rid of some of that gas. But think about it. I mean, Padmé was a badass mofo. In TPM, she was the queen. She's like, I'm not taking shit for it. She goes to the Senate. She chews them out. She's like, screw you. I'm not staying here. I'm going back. I'm fighting a war. Attack of the Clones, same thing. She's kind of there frontline and everything. She's out there in the Battle of Geonosis with Anakin shooting motherfuckers left and right. She was the shit. All right, both physically and through her diplomacy, she was a badass warrior. Then we get to Revenge of the Sith, and she's literally reduced to a whining, moping, I'm gonna die of a broken heart type of character. Like, really? This strong-ass woman is reduced to someone that is just, like, always, you know, cowering, like, oh my God, Annie, oh. And she dies of a broken heart. Like, that is a major mistake for this character. And people, you can't tell me, when you see Padmé and Rotch, she just doesn't feel like Padmé anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It is such a stark fall off from like this badass character that's in the Geonosian arena, like fighting alongside Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Like standing up for herself. Like, she was always like in the first two movies, she kind of followed that like firebrand sensibility that Leia would come to inherit
100
from her in the original trilogy. But then, like, and I know, look, she's pregnant. Like, you know, when you are, you know, like when you're pregnant, you become more protective of yourself, of your body. There's a lot of hormonal changes that are happening. So, like, things change about you when you are pregnant. That's just how things work. That's physiology. That's science. But it does feel very, very stark how much her personality changes immediately.
Yeah.
And like it feels like even being pregnant, Padmé would still be like a more forward person. Like, she would still be like her aggressive self, and she would still hold the beliefs that she held before, and she would still act in ways that would be congruent with what we saw in the first two movies. But it completely shifts. Like you said, like she kind of turns waifish and like almost like a damsel in distress to a certain degree. And it just doesn't fit the way that the character had progressed through those movies up to that point. And I wonder what facilitated that, or like why he felt like that needed to happen to that character, because you could have still had the same journey where like Padmé dies in childbirth, but like make it to where like she is a fighter, like make it to where she is like who we knew her to be in the first two movies.
She gives up.
And then
she literally gives up.
Literally.
There was no medical emergency with the delivery. I mean, that creepy thing's like, oh, shoulda, and it like jams that thing in her and pulls out the babies, and she's like, oh, Obi-Wan, they're still good in him. It's like, what?
Dude, it's like, I would have, and like,
at least it should have been. I mean, I remember Gallard said essentially it was initially Anakin was going to fucking manhandle her on Mustafar. Like, not only force choke her, but throw her ass into her ship. And that would have justified, all right, her internal organs probably got scrambled. So, yeah, she's going to die of physical injuries. No, she's just like, hey, you know what? I delivered his babies. The world's fucked. I'm tapping out. Peace. See ya. Yeah, good luck, Obi-Wan. Like, it's your problem now, dude.
Even leading up to that scene, like, I know that it gets, you know, it's a scene that gets quoted a lot, but like the exchange between Padmé and Anakin when they're on Mustafar, where she's like, you're breaking my heart. Like, she just turns into this mouse-ish character where like Padmé from AOTC would walk up to that dude and smack him in the face.
Yes.
Like,
grab his stupid wig and be like, what the fuck are you doing, Anakin, you stupid slave boy motherfucker, and smacking him around. That's exactly right.
Like, she had that fire in her, and they removed it. They snuffed it out. Like, well, George snuffed it out, and it doesn't feel right. And it would have felt more in character for Padmé to be like, if you're gonna kill me, you kill me. Like, take me out here.
Exactly.
Like, don't, like, instead of her just being like this, like, please don't do this. How could you?
Thank you.
Like,
you definitely described this one better than me. Like, you nailed it. Even with your performances, it was excellent. Please
Thank
don't
you,
kill
thank
me. I'm Padme. Don't kill me. Oh, I love it. All right.
He may have written that line, and then Natalie
probably.
Portman was like, "Look, I have read everything that you have written, but I can't read this. You got to change it."
I mean, listen, Padme goes out with a whimper, which is just not in her character. So this was definitely a mistake, as well as this next one. And you know me, my friends, if you've been around this dumb show for a few years, you know my take on Rots. It's gotten a lot much softer over time, thanks to things like the Clone Wars and even the Kenobi series, adding more to Order 66. Bad Batch, adding more to Order 66. You get a lot of insights. But I've always said my biggest beef with Revenge of the Sith is that it feels rushed, in particular Anakin's fall to the dark side. It doesn't feel earned. It is accelerated. It's snap of the finger type of stuff. So I do think one of George's biggest mistakes, Nick, was cramming too much story into Revenge of the Sith. He saved too much for that last film. Think about it. He needed to cover Anakin's fall, the end of the Clone Wars, and the Jedi Purge in a single film.
Yeah.
That's going to be rushed. I mean, I know a lot of people argue we probably should have skipped out on 10-year-old Anakin. I actually liked seeing that. But if they did, and they started with, say, Attack of the Clones, then you would have had a different middle movie to cover more of Anakin's darkness and him kind of getting goofy during the Clone Wars. Then Revenge of the Sith is his fall and the Purge. You would have had a whole film dedicated to his fall and the death of the Order. That would have been way better structured, but here we are.
Yeah, I think that the problem definitely lies. Like, I don't mind having the first movie be like essentially the Anakin origin story, right? Like how they find him and bring him back. The problem is the second movie is vacuous.
It's
like
a love
AOTC
story.
It is a movie that is wholly consumed by figuring out the clone plot. That's it. Like if you follow that movie, like the primary plot is Obi-Wan Kenobi being like, why is this planet missing? And then that is the whole thing up until the clones are finally introduced at the end of the film. And it's like, you could have taken it so much time. Like that's like a 2+ hour long movie. Like,
Nick, that could have been the Attack of the Clones crawl, just setting up the Clone Wars, and then when the movie starts, we're fighting the Battle of Geonosis.
Like, we're in the Clone War. Like, I don't need to see 2 hours of Obi-Wan Kenobi figuring out how to get to Camino, and then figuring out like, oh, they're making clones here. Like, it's vacuous. Like, they wasted so much time in that movie. Like, it's fine to have the love story B plot, whatever. But like, you need something like you said, like have the stuff about Camino happen quick and then move into the war. Because essentially what they did was they were like, okay, we have now wasted an entire 30% of a trilogy that we have here in terms of storytelling. And now we're forced to fit everything into Rots. And at a certain point, I don't know if this is how it really breaks out or how it broke out in George's head. But at some point during like the 2 or 3 year post release of Rots, they were like, yeah, George said that essentially the first 2 movies are 30% of the story, and then the last movie is 70% of the story.
That makes sense.
And like, to me, it's like, why would you not like, I get it. Like, you're not going to have 33% of your story in every movie. Like, your first movie is probably 15 to 20%, but why is your second movie not like 40%, and then your third movie 40%, instead of it being that crazy skew? Like, that was always what threw me off, was that like, you have 3 movies, but you really only use 2.5 maybe to like tell your story plot points. So yeah, this one to me, like, it's not even Rotz's fault. It's Clones' fault for not telling any story other.
It's George's mistake, right? It's George's mistake. That's why we're talking about it. It's George's mistake. So I'm with you. I think Nick had a great idea. We keep TPM, but Attack of the Clones starts with the Clone Wars. We get all the horse shit with Dooku and figuring that out in the crawl, and then we're right at it. And then you
Yeah,
probably
like-
even have like a year time jump within Attack of the Clones to get into year 2 or
Yeah.
almost year 3 of the Clone Wars, and then we pick up the end of the Clone Wars in Rots, fully cover his fall, fully cover the Purge. Life is good, but
yeah,
ain't gonna
Like,
happen. So
Be Mad based and brazen is saying Ross really deserves an extended cut, but I don't think that's the problem. I don't think that that Rots being too short is the problem. It's that AOTC has no story in it. AOTC's only story is where's Camino? Where's Camino? I found it. Oh, they're making clones at the and that's the whole story.
bro,
And then
it's
at
the
very
last
end,
line that Yoda speaks, and the Clone Wars,
Clone War-
have begun.
yeah, it's like you literally take a whole movie for one character to find a planet and figure out they're making clones, and then at the end of the movie, the clones show up. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
just
think
wild to me.
he did it on purpose, because remember the whole reason Gennedy's Clone Wars were created were to fill in the gap between AOTC
Yeah.
and ROTS, and now they don't even consider those cartoons canon. So it's like,
Canon anymore.
what are we doing here, my friends? All right, so there you go. Sorry, prequel people. We're moving on. Next mistake here.
Uh-oh.
This is mostly probably going to be young Nick. I'll set it up since I am not an expert in this, but I can agree after really reading some of this stuff, getting it prepped up for AI Scott and Sally, and just listening to Nick when he talks about this stuff, and some of you when you get into the words and shit. We're talking about the expanded universe. So the next mistake here from George is essentially ignoring and undermining the EU. Listen, I mean, he treated the EU as non-canon from day one. He's been on record saying that. He's like, go ahead. You guys can play in my universe, but it doesn't mean shit. And I kind of always believed in that mantra, and I still do. If it's not canon, it's really not worth my time. And I know I have missed a lot of great stories with that mindset. But the fact that George and now even Disney is essentially ignoring all these existing stories is... I mean, fans had like these favorite moments, the material they latched onto and kind of looked as real life, Heir to the Empire, that type of stuff. So when he brought out the Clone Wars, he essentially deleted a bunch of legends and expanded universe type of stuff. So this mistake here, Nick, and you can expand upon it, is George essentially snubbing his nose to the EU and never really considering some of the stories for potentially incorporating into the canon fold.
Yeah. And I think the bigger issue is that like the authors that wrote within the EU were like, they were like held to pretty strict, like, hey, let's make sure that there's no congruency issues here. And like over time it got harder to do that because it expanded so much, but like they went through great pains to make sure that like the stories that they were writing were lining up with what was like what already existed, and
right,
making sure that things felt organic and like this is a proper continuation. Like the X-Wing series is fantastic. Like if you've never read the X-Wing series of books, like those are some of the ones that take place really, really close to the end of ROTJ. Like it's not True Set Bakura, which is like the official like post follow-up to it. But this is when Corran Horn comes in and the rebels are retaking control of Coruscant from the Empire. Like that's some stuff that was really, really well written. I mean, like the Thrawn trilogy that we're looking at here, fantastic work here as well. Like, and I think what it was, and like to a certain degree, like they have like even Disney's been like, okay, like maybe there's some mistakes here, because they essentially had Timothy Zahn come back and rewrite them and just remake those canon. And they've done that for certain characters within the films too. Like they've gone in, like to a certain degree, they've explored like old Republic characters and like hinted at the existence of Revan. They've brought in they brought in
Thrawn.
Thrawn. They brought in, I'm like now like I'm like ranting and my brain has like seized up, but they brought back Palpatine's master. Oh, they brought back shit. I just had it and now it's gone again. They brought back God,
can't help you here.
in the Acolyte. Who is the guy? Who's the hidden character in the Acolyte? Plagueis. They brought back Plagueis. My brain just completely seized up on it. They brought back Plagueis, who was like, you know, like obviously he was mentioned, but he was expanded upon in Legends and stuff like that. Like a lot of characters that people really, really showed affinity towards are starting to like make their way back little by little into canon now. And I think that if they would have like, you know, I think that George would have really appreciated some of the writing, but George is also the type of person that that feels to me like if I didn't write it, then it doesn't count.
1000%. You're 100%
I feel like
correct.
Yeah, like, and I feel like if he would have read some of these stories, and I don't know if he did or didn't, like, I mean, I don't know if he read anything or what, but like, he would have appreciated it. I really do feel like he would have liked some of this stuff.
Yeah, well,
but yeah,
hey,
it's
another
it's hard
mistake
to,
of his, and that's why it's on this list. So, for the sake of time, we're gonna move on there, Nick. But I knew this one would light a fire up under your butt, and one of these days, maybe I'll have AI Scott and Sally read me these books, but not for now.
Yeah,
we got to get them breaking down Sith Lords in their deep dives. Look for it, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, next mistake by George Lucas here. I think this is number 10 on our list. You know, we all know he ended up selling his baby, and we do know that he did provide treatments for the sequel trilogy. The mistake we're talking about now is that he did not secure an agreement from Bobby I over at Disney that they'd actually use them. In fact, they completely discounted them, essentially threw him out, and upset George that they just wholeheartedly ignored his work. I mean, he even, I believe, came out and was like, yeah, I was kind of bummed out that they just completely left out all of my creative ideas besides sending JJ to fucking talk to me for 2 minutes. So I do think this was a mistake. We've heard about George's treatment. I know that you could poke holes in that as well. But I think for the sake of the Skywalker trilogy, Nick, it would have made sense to kind of finish it under George's creative vision, not give it to 3 different writers, 3 different directors, and let them bumblefuck their way through a trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, given what we got in the sequels, you know, as a whole product, it is kind of hard to argue against this. I still like, obviously, like I hold TFA very close to my heart. I really, really love that movie. The others, obviously, you know, every movie has flaws. Every Star Wars movie has flaws, whether George was included in it or not. So, you know, it's not saying that George's films would have been without flaw. I think it is just the cohesiveness, as you were kind of hinting at, right? Like, at least if they would have made George's 3 movies, they would have had like a cohesive narrative that kind of flowed through all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
even like, go ahead.
I said, you and I have been saying this for years now, that the biggest issue with the sequel trilogy was what'd they call themselves?
The story group.
Yeah, the story group was just, you know, out on vacation the whole time. But you can never expect to have a coherent narrative when you give 3 artists essentially carte blanche to come up with whatever they want. I mean, just it's like I'll never blame JJ, Ryan, and Colin. It was Bob and Kathy. They're like, yeah, no, well, hey, you guys are artists, cool, you do whatever. Even though it's a trilogy and we got to pass the characters through 3 films and have some overarching narrative, that doesn't matter. We know you artists. You all like to copy each other and honor other people's work. No, artists want their stamp on something. So, yeah, big problem here. All right.
Yeah, and I think that what could have been done here is like you don't even have to say you have to make these scripts word for word. It's like you have to use these scripts as the basis of what this story is. And then, like, you know, if you want to rewrite some stuff that still fits with with like the overarching plot that is being done, fine. But like, this is the story you have to tell. It's got to be about Maul and Talon. It's got to be about these story. This has to be in it. You know, like feasibly, I don't know how contract law works. If he could have worked that in, I'm sure he could have. For $8 billion, I'm sure he could have
lawyers
like asked for a lot of things.
Nick. Yeah, lawyers can do anything. All right, so yeah, big mistake here, George. You should have got that signed, sealed, and delivered. You at least got to use my treatment. Okay, next mistake here. sticking with the whole sale of Lucasfilm, we're saying selling Lucasfilm too early was a mistake. And what we mean by this is that there were active projects going on. I mean, that's why the Clone Wars has what's called the lost missions. Like season 6 is just, it's kind of chaotic. That's where Yoda learns to, talk to Qui-Gon's Force Ghost, and he goes to like the Force planet. There's some good stuff in there, but it's just little shorts here and there. It's not a full season. I mean, the Star Wars 1313 video game fell victim to the sale. Star Wars Detours fell victim to the sale. And hell, you could argue Star Wars Underworld, that he shot like 50 hours worth of crap, also probably fell victim to the sale. So, getting rid of Lucasfilm before he finished these projects, especially the Clone Wars. I mean, people, as much as some of you hate Disney's handling of Star Wars, you at least have to give them a reach around for the fact that they committed to finishing the Clone Wars with that excellent season 7. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to do that, but I think they saw that it was such a hot spot for fans and there was no resolution that it made sense to finish, but nothing else got picked up. I mean, Nick and I, we've talked about Detours before. I would have loved to seen Detours make the light of day. I mean, it was like, kind of slapsticky. Was it claymation or was it just like chibi style?
Yeah, it was like chibi style animation.
Yeah,
it almost looked like reminiscent of Clone War style, but if you just chibied everything down.
Yeah, it just was fun. I mean, it was Star Wars making fun of itself. I mean, it was almost Robot Chicken level of humor, probably not as adult oriented. So because he sold it without these being completed, most of them were just killed and fans were teased and never got a payoff. At least Clone Wars did, but this was a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. I think that specifically with Detours, like that was something that was like a passion project. It felt like Robot Chicken because Seth Green was the guy that was leading it. Like he was one of the,
correct.
I think it was Seth Green and then his writing partner were the ones that were developing the show. So it had that fun feel to it. But yeah, I mean, not having completion on Underworld, which was the first live action version of a Star Wars TV show that George was trying to get made. Like that was definitely a problem. I think that, what League said was, there are documentaries out there available now that you can watch that basically Lucas says like he was just tired of the fan base and all the hate that it was getting. So he was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna sell this thing and get it off my plate. And it kind of sucks that it came to that, because that's essentially what's happening right now. Is like George had to deal with it to a degree where like he sold the property that made him who he is. Like George Lucas is known throughout the entire world
it's
because
his fucking
of Star
baby.
Wars. Yeah, and like he sold it because it got to a point to where like he was constantly being inundated with fan hate and everything that comes along with it. And like, that's awful because that's happening now. It's happening now. Same thing where it's just like,
and look what's happened, Nick, because of it. Where'd all these movies go that we've gone? I mean, literally the whole Disney's plan was fundamentally changed after TLJ and Solo due to the outpouring of hate. All right. Just to keep us on schedule, next mistake from George Lucas. And I don't know like how many people understand, especially with hindsight, but making Luke and Leia siblings after they literally make out, and you could tell that Luke had a hard-on for her in A New Hope. I mean, him and Han were essentially two bros, like, hey, bro, do you think I could get her, bro? I don't know, bro. Do you think I could get her, bro? I mean, it was very clear that was never the initial plan to have these two be twins. So the twist was clearly unplanned. It makes them look like they were, they grew up in the South. They're sitting there making out with each other. It adds a lot of awkwardness that you wouldn't have needed if this was always the deal. So the retcon, with hindsight, does feel kind of clumsy, and it completely undermines the dynamics of Luke, Han, and Leia in the first movie. I mean, Nick, he even maintained the competition between Han and Luke through Return of the Jedi. Remember at the end,
Yeah.
when Leia's sitting there smiling,
Han,
they won. Han's like, all right, I get it. He won. His dick's bigger than mine. He did just fucking take out the Emperor himself, so I'm sure you're gonna want to go sleep with him. And she's like, no, dummy. We're actually twins. And he's like, okay, sweet, I'll make out with you. Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah, he's my brother. Yeah, and this is the thing too. It's
sorry,
like,
based.
is George never knew, like when he was making A New Hope, like he never knew if that was gonna, like if he was gonna be able to make a second movie. So he's like, I'm gonna tell a story. When it ends, it ends. If it doesn't go any further, I can fully say that I made a full story from tip to tail of a heroic journey story of this farm boy finds out that he's special, joins this rebellion to fight against this evil empire, and at the end the plucky rebellion wins. Boom, Miller time, done. And then when he's like, okay, now we're going into ESB, now this is a global phenomenon, I'm going to be able to do this for as long as I want to do it. It's almost like he was like, okay, well, like what do I have, like what interesting things can I make happen that will change the story dynamic, blah blah blah. And the sibling angle of it, like, yeah, man, I don't know why he chose to go down that route, and knowing that in ESB, why he would do the kiss.
Well,
Like
that's the point.
just,
he didn't know, Nick. Even through writing ESB, he didn't know he was going to make them twins. Because listen, there's no way George Lucas was like, I'm going to put in some incest into my movie. It just, no. So this was even post Empire type of change, and that's why it is a mistake. I was just kind of reminiscing, looking at this screenshot. It's the one of Luke and Leia on the Death Star. And it's just like it just brings warm and fuzzies to my heart. Look at Carrie and young Mark. I mean, come on, poor Carrie. Rest in power, Mark. I mean, he's all old looking now. Speaking of Mark, I don't want to get into it, but I don't think I'm a huge fan of him doing this mea culpa tour for all the shit talking he did during TLJ that essentially spawned Star Wars theory and all the other clones out there that glommed onto, hey, look, Mark said that this sucks. It ain't Luke. So here we go. I don't know if you've seen that, Nick, but he's been going around like, I probably shouldn't have done that. It's like, yeah, no shit. Because you essentially, you enabled the haters to be like, well, look, it's not just me. Fucking one of the gods of Star Wars is saying the same shit. So
yeah, it's
a little too late, Mark.
Because,
a little too late, pal.
Yeah, it's tough for him for sure, because like he feels ownership over Luke Skywalker, and a lot of people who play roles like this do, like, and it's not because they feel like, well, I played him, so I am this character. It's like everywhere they go, everybody just recognizes them, as Luke Skywalker. So like to a certain degree, it just happens, and like, he was speaking passionately about something that he felt, and obviously he should have like sat down and been like, what could happen if I say these things in public?
Yeah, I mean, he basically was like just called Ryan Johnson a hack asshole, and it was rough. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Mark Hamill's biggest mistakes. We're talking about George Lucas's. And the next one we got on here was botching the Clone Wars film release. I don't know if a lot of you people, you look back on the Clone Wars and you're like, it's the greatest thing ever made. Well, I can tell you right now, as a 28-year-old, the buzz around the Clone Wars movie was highly negative. I mean, we're talking like TLJ level negativity. Even when Clone Wars hit Clone or Cartoon Network, people were like, look at the animation suck. I don't like, who's this, a whiny ass Snips Ahsoka thing? Anakin never had a Padawan, blah 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 blah. But did people know that this movie was essentially just a bunch of early TV episodes stitched together? And when you really think about the main plot was saving Jabba the Hutt's child. It just probably not the best delivery or presentation of a brand new franchise in Star Wars. When you just kind of slap some TV episodes together and spin it as a feature film.
Yeah. I mean, fun story about this. I actually saw this in like, you know, the preview showings with Phil, my friend who watches the show and submits questions. Like we got to go see it in theaters together. And while it was fun to watch, it is unquestionable that like this probably shouldn't have come out in theaters. Like if anything, it should have just gone direct to TV. And obviously it was designed to just like launch the TV series. But I don't know. It was such weird timing for it too, right? Because it came out in 2008. So that's 3 years post ROTS. And people were like, I think there was a lot of excitement around it because people were like, okay, more Star Wars in theaters after like Revenge of the Sith. Like, let's see what we're doing now. And then people saw it and were like, wait, what are we doing here? Like, what is this? Like, this is happening before Revenge of the Sith. And it's got Anakin and Obi-Wan and this random kid. And like, I don't think, and like you said, dude, I don't think they could have picked a worse story to tell in theaters. No. Like the Rada the Hutt, like save the baby Stinky from, it was just like, it was questionable at the very least. Like you could have picked a stronger 3-episode arc to put out than that.
Yeah, like, it just, I mean, listen, the Clone Wars ended up being a smashing success in the end. So luckily this mistake did not completely sink the franchise. But I shit you not, and it was a different era. There wasn't a lot of social media and crazy, well, there was, but it wasn't as rampant and as negative as it is now. But people were not high on the Clone Wars when it debuted. I mean, a lot of people thought it was a bastardization of the prequel era. All right. Next mistake, we're working our way on down to the last one, number 15. But before we get there, we've got this gem. All right? You know, especially when you think about what we just talked about with George Lucas and his ignorance towards EU and legend stories, it's always weird to think that he sat around and went, you know what? This holiday special, let's greenlight it. Canon. The Ewok Caravan of Courage, and then the Battle for, or whatever the other one was with Turok and them is. And then they make Ewok basically speak basic now. I mean, Wicket can now speak words in that movie. But like George he greenlit some really weird shit. They bizarre, in fact, TV projects that they kind of diluted the franchise's brand, the tone of Star Wars. You know, especially that holiday special. I mean, yeah, they're fun to make fun of now, but at the time, you're like, this is what we're getting, George. You said this was good. This is what we should watch.
Yeah, it really makes you question him saying like, man, the EU books can't have those. But you know what I do agree with? The holiday special and the Ewok movies. Like when you compare, when you put those two things next to each other, and you're like, man, the Dark Nest trilogy was really fucking cool. But George Lucas just seems like he likes the holiday special better. I don't know why.
No. Let's go visit Chewbacca's family and see them in their red robes and have little goofy circus performers. I mean, even the Chewbacca, like his relatives, Chewbacca's relatives, they didn't even spend the money to make them good costumes like Peter Mayhew got
No,
to wear.
dude, they look like they were like ripped off Planet of the Apes costumes that they just kind of like put more hair on,
or like whatever. Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. I mean, they just weren't good at all. So
it was
based. They did get Hamill to show up at the holiday special.
Mark, I mean, all of them did. Like, Mark, Carey, and Harrison were all there. And I'll tell you this: like, they all look way different than they do in the movies, but Mark looks like they painted him with some lacquer and glitter or some stuff. Like he looks so weird. Dude, it's strange to me. I don't know if he was like, I don't know how much more legs this Star Wars thing has, so I got to get my money while I can. Like it honestly felt like a cash grab to a certain degree. But geez, dude, like those are questionable at the very best.
In the end, it came back in Skeleton Crew. You know, it was honored in Skeleton Crew with Neil's little family watching the holiday special circus or whatever that they were watching way back in the 70s. So it's yeah, definitely a mistake here, George. Maybe you should have considered some of those legend stories for TV back in the day instead of this stuff. All right, and last but certainly not least, mistake that George Lucas made while he was in charge of Star Wars: midichlorians. All right, so somehow they're not even touched upon. Wise Obi-Wan never speaks about it. You know, he just talks about how the Force surrounds us and it's everywhere, just like Yoda did. You know, the Force is just it's out there in the ether. I think after watching the original trilogy, most of us looked at the Force as almost like matter, atoms. It was everywhere. It was in me. It was in that. But no, when it comes time to finally explain why Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one, or why he was identified as the chosen one, we had to get very scientific and introduce microscopic organisms that live in symbiosis with their carrier to give them their force quotient. You know, how much force can they force depends on their level of midichlorians. And yeah, it's just, I know it's canon, and it's now been turned into the whole M count thing that we've seen in the Bad Batch, and I think even Acolyte called it M count. So
yeah, dude.
You know, even series that came, even shows that are set before we learned what midichlorians are, they're like, no, we're not going to talk about these living microscopic organisms. We're just going to say it's someone's M count, like it's their, you know, their white blood cell level. So Nick, yeah, midichlorians a bit of a stumble.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, this is a story beat where I look at it and I just can't understand why he felt like it was necessary. Some of the stuff I get, like a lot of the stuff that's in the prequels, I get it. Like, you're setting up the galactic playground at the time with the trade disputes, stuff like that. Like, you're giving story that's necessary for context to what's going on in the galaxy and how all this kind of comes about. But the midichlorian stuff to me was just like, what? Like, why do you need a way to quantify like how much force somebody has? And I guess the only reasonable explanation is like, if there are literally like Jedi out there recruiting people, like trying to find force sensitive people, like give them some way to be able to tell if somebody's forced up or not. Like blood test, easy, like go around to these different little villages and stuff like that. Everybody come up. All right. It's almost like a diabetes test. Like, give me your blood. Boom. What do you got? What's your M count?
We saw it in Acolyte.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. We saw it in Acolyte.
And it's just like, to me, it's a story better told if like you're a Jedi like Qui-Gon Jinn and you just go off of feeling, right? Like, because they could always feel it. Like, that was the whole refrain in the OT. I can sense the force in you.
Yes.
Like, that was how they always could tell, is that they could sense it. Other Jedi could sense how powerful somebody else was. You didn't need to say like, let me check your blood, bro. Like, Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't go up to Luke Skywalker and be like, hey, can you put your finger out so I can test your M count and make sure? Like, I know you're his son, Master, but still.
His readings are off the chart, even more than Master Yoda. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, it's cool.
and yeah, I think at this point, like, it's clearly like we're trying to like retcon this and like make it to where it's not as obtrusive as it was. But
M count.
But that was one of the ones where George was definitely like high, and he was just like, what if like little force bugs just like lived in your body, bro?
Yeah, I always envision them. They're like mitochondria or something, just fucking little amoebas in there floating around.
They're
like,
just
okay,
floating around. No big deal. Like, but yeah, dude, that was the one that like midichlorians. All right.
So there you go, my friends. We feel we've laid out our case for why these are 15 of George Lucas's biggest mistakes. Yes, we are homers to Star Wars, but it's okay to sometimes turn the critical eye to things you love. Okay. So there you go. If you missed it, rewind this thing, check it out. I had a few epic little rants that have not shown up on this show in quite some time. So that was fun. Hopefully I do not stroke out tonight while I'm watching TV. But now it's time to bring episode, whatever this is, 362 maybe. I forget. We've made too many, to be honest with you. But we're going to bring it to the close with this week's fan segment. We do it every week to close out the show. Get involved. We do the question of the week, which is always going to be themed around our main topic. And then Nick has his top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. So let me go ahead and get some screens moved around on the stream. There's one of those, one of these. And let's see what the fans had to say about this week's question, Nick, which is, what is George Lucas's biggest mistake when it comes to his handling of Star Wars?
All right. The first response up is Bat2797_studios on Instagram. He says, Star Wars and Lucas are far from perfect. I can't think of a glaring mistake that doesn't make it what it is. All is as the Force wills. So Bat wouldn't change anything.
I had to reply like that one. I had to reply in chat. I have never done that, but I had to. That is very Homerish, Bat. Like, come on. I think we laid out some good mistakes. I know you're a little late here. You're enjoying yourself, some libations and possibly some nature. So kudos to you and your upcoming birthday. But I think we made a great case for there's some glaring mistakes that George made. All right, next up. I'm not sure what happened to Johnny here. Hopefully he's all right, but go ahead and read what he started.
Yeah. Johnny got kidnapped in the middle of his,
it's like, I do.
response.
Matt, can you check on Johnny for us? I think maybe you guys live around each other, or maybe Nova does. We need a welfare check on Johnny.
Yeah. So Johnny Osage says his biggest mistake is that he didn't.
Yes.
And that's a really introspective one.
That is deep, man.
You can be like, man, that he did. You know what? Maybe
he just
he's
did
right.
it, Nick. He just didn't. Yeah, he just did it.
He just didn't. He just didn't.
He just did.
So good stuff there from Johnny. Everybody, after the podcast is over, go think about that a little bit.
Yeah,
and think about what he didn't.
Those are my biggest mistakes too. I just didn't. Like literally, I just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what up there, Cream Pie Lars?
All right. Next up, we got Tones 1138. He says he sold it. Granted, we would probably never have the likes of Andor, Rogue One, The Mandalorian, but I would have loved to see where he went with his proposed sequel trilogy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the hard part about this, right? Is like all things pointed to George was never going to touch Star Wars again. But who knows? Like maybe now 20 years later from Rots with no Star Wars other than Clone Wars, he would have been like, you know what? Like maybe I'll just take another crack at it and see what happens. Like we never know if he would have come back around to it. It was almost exactly 20 years from when when A&H released is when he started working on TPM. I mean, probably even before that, like 97, 90, that area. Who knows? But yeah.
I wish Tones was here. Like I in our Instagram feed now, some of my favorite reels are UK boot sales. You know what those are? Not like boots, but like they call trunks boots. So it's just people that like
so
park
it's like
their
people
cars.
selling stuff out of their
trunk. And this guy just goes around and buys shit and then resells it and tells how much he resold it on eBay for. It's good stuff, dude. But I want to go to a boot sale because I got a lot of stupid shit to start getting rid of. All right, go ahead, Nick. This is BMAD's IG alter ego, I think.
All right, BMAD's IG alter ego. Here we go. So BMAD says, not green lightning KOTOR 3, or not green lighting KOTOR 3, making KOTOR canon and not giving the Boba Fett story we deserved. So I don't know how the KOTOR 3 thing went down. I don't know if he was like, I mean, ultimately, I do know somebody that worked on Star Wars, the Old Republic MMO at BioWare, and they definitely were like, George essentially told us at a certain point that we can't use anything from his films. So he was very, very strict about like even Star Wars licensed products and in games using stuff from his properties. So it would not surprise me if he didn't greenlight KOTOR 3. But But yeah, I mean the Boba Fett story, I don't think that he would have even touched that. Like I don't know how much interest he had in telling stories about Boba Fett. Like obviously there were like Boba Fett threads that came in Clone Wars at some point, but yeah, I don't know. This one's kind of hard to like really have a read on because I don't know how much involvement he had in the KOTOR stuff. And then last one here is from Phil. Phil says, not following through on the Darth Jar Jar storyline. At least we got it brought to life through Rebuild the Galaxy. there we go.
Yeah. Hey, Soup is cold. How you doing out there? What's wrong with wearing a Funko Pop T-shirt at my age? Please explain. I'd like to know that. Please explain.
Yeah,
were you being ageist? You know how much money I've made off of Funko Pops? Probably more money than you've made this year. And cold soup is not good. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and kick on over to the top 5 here, Nick.
All right. I don't know if it's just me, but I am having trouble getting the top 5 to load. So let me try a different.
Is our website broken?
I don't know if it's the website or because like I can't even go to the Instagram account, instagram.com/Star Wars Time Show.
We're about to lose Nick's internet here.
Uh-oh, is that me?
I don't know. Like I have the site up. They can see it. I'm not going to refresh it just in case the site is actually dead. So.
All right. So I'll just look off of Matt's.
Yeah.
I'll look off of the YouTube live stream as everybody else is, but we are now moving into the top 5 Star Wars fan arts features of the week. So to get involved with that, make sure to follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram and tag us in your Star Wars Instagram post. Add tag at StarWarsTime.show. That's how you get involved. And that is where I pick the top 5 from our tagged feed. So to start things off, we have Betty Ione SW on Instagram, and she is giving us an awesome shot of Luminara unduly in Betty's like signature fashion. And Luminara looks like she just cut down a specialist B1 battle droid, but it may be her downfall. We do see a clone in the back creeping up on her. Is this the moment where Luminara gets killed? I just really love the look of this Luminara figure. Awesome looking stuff. And Betty definitely was able to bring some pop to it.
Yeah, no, this one must be just now hitting people because I've seen Luminara show up in a lot of shots. And as always, Betty Ione, with their very, very unique style, has done her justice. I mean, she does look great there. And I like the clone in the background. Adds a nice little touch. So make sure to follow Betty Ione _SW on Instagram.
All right. Waiting for the scroll down and then I'll introduce the next one.
All right, here you go. Here comes the scroll.
Here it comes. I gotta wait for the.
Oh yeah, YouTube League. You must have missed the early years of the live stream where we literally sit here for from 2:30 till like 6:30 or 7 East during the COVID days. It was
insanity. All right, next up we got Visual Horizon toy photo, and Visual Horizon's giving us an awesome look at the 2 clone bros, and I call Ahsoka a bro. She's a clone bro. This is Anakin and Ahsoka here together fighting on the battlefield against some junkers. You can see B1s down in the background. Awesome explosions going off. And what are they doing? They're walking away from the explosions like cool people do, and they're fist bumping on the way out. That's the Anakin and Ahsoka that we all fell in love with. Awesome stuff here from Visual Horizon.
Okay. That is true. I forget that I keep guys scrolling for you, but we always love Visual Horizon toy photo. Give them a follow on Instagram. There you go, Nick. Next one.
All right. Next up. Sorry, everyone. I don't know.
I'm just glad you're still connected to the show because I did check. The site is loading, so who knows what's going on down there. Yeah, so it's just me. It's just me.
Weather's been bad, but Collectibles and Nat or Collectibles Nat on Instagram, they're giving us an awesome look at SM33 from Skeleton Crew. He says, I can't remember no Atten. I mean, SM33 was definitely one of my favorite characters from that show. I love this setup that Collectibles Nat has on going on in the shot. Like it looks like it's straight from the Onyx Cinder. The pose on SM33 is awesome. Lighting and atmospheric effects all on point here from Collectibles Nat.
Yeah, I'm like, I must have missed this one because I don't collect Black Series anymore. But you remember, I did snag the Skeleton Crew because I appreciate the franchise so much, and my way of commemorating that is wasting money on plastic toys. So I am missing Smee, yet Collectibles in that has them. So what's going on here? Where's my pre-order, Nick? But either way, Collectibles and that, all one word, which we appreciate. Great shot of SM33. It is a good looking figure, so hopefully mine comes at some point in time. Here's your next one, young Nick.
All right. Anticipation. Who is it? Who could it be? Is it one of the people that we know, or is it a new one? It's Mando Mugshots. Mando Mugshots we've had a lot of really cool Tantive 4 shots coming through recently. So I don't know if there's been like some new dios or figures released that like fit into this scene very well. But what we're looking at, Mando_Mugshots, gives us the awesome look at the Tantive 4 hallway scene. You see Vader and his stormtrooper bros walking through, taking out the rebellion soldiers that were waiting their arrival. I mean, great use of lens flare there on Vader's lightsaber. Great use of a diorama that like looks picture perfect to the Tantive 4 hallway. Posing the scene. Awesome stuff here all around from Mando Mugshots.
Yeah, good stuff. We're big fans of Mando Mugshots over here. All the shots are always expertly posed, set up, and executed. You will not be disappointed in the follow. Mando_Mugshots on Instagram. All right.
That's right.
Rippic Tan had a fantastic run last week with these. Nuclear Stitch, hello to you. Hello.
Last one here. This is from Rippic __, 2 underscores for Rippic Tan on Instagram. And he's given us some awesome shots here of the protests happening around the galaxy concerning the Gorman massacre, what was going on Gorman. And we get to see it. This is a scrolly one too. So there's a lot of different shots here. Save the Dream, No More Lies, We Are Not Criminals, No Death Star. All this stuff happening during the Andor time period, which we just saw. Andor season 2, all these protests were happening galaxy wide for what was going on with the Empire, their overreach, their oppressive stance that they were taking towards the citizens of the galaxy, and people were out speaking their mind. And this is what we saw during the protests while the Imperial grip was starting to tighten around the galaxy.
Yeah, not only does this kind of commemorate Andor, but it's almost like it's portraying what may be happening these days. So
could be.
It's pretty wild how spot on Andor season 2 is to what is going down in this country currently. When you think Tony and team had to write that years ago before the election even took place. So hey, here we are, but this is some great stuff from Rippic __ Tan over on IG. Got to be careful what I say these days, especially now that I just saw in my state the Senate passed a bill where they have control over evaluations for higher education teachers, and you should see the questions on it. It's
dystopian.
Pretty dystopian. Yeah, it's like I'm pretty much just gonna be a robot now when I teach. I'm not no personality, no nothing. All you're gonna get is this is how you do stuff. Thank you. See you next week. All right.
And that's it. Hey, that's the end of the top 5. And that's the end of our show for this week. So go ahead, Matt, close us out.
Yeah, we're about 16 minutes overtime here. But it's okay. It was another great show. We went through and memorialized or critiqued George's 15 biggest mistakes. We reviewed Jurassic World Rebirth. We took questions from the fans. We reported on responses to questions from the fans. We do it all in the Star Wars Time show because there's always time for Star Wars Time. We even get people to come in here and try to piss on our parade. But we persist and we keep going because I'm an old guy that loves screaming at clouds about Star Wars, and Nick will be forever young, just like Rod Stewart used to sing. So don't forget, keep pumping up this old person show. All right? Talk about it, share it, comment on it. Maybe join the channel as a member if you're feeling like you want to donate a few bucks a month to the nonsense we put out every Wednesday, including clips from the show that come out every single day, sometimes multiple clips a day. We've got AI, Scott, and Sally ripping off some Sith legends, lore deep dives these days. There's always something to commemorate Star Wars on the Star Wars Time Show channel. So don't forget, there's always time for Star Wars time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you. Oh.